Welcome to the Matson Shooting Academy podcast. If you're a clay target shooter, then we have what you're looking for. Speaking with some of the best in the industry about the game you're passionate about. Subscribe to the Clay Lab on YouTube and follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or your favorite podcast platform. The Matson Shooting Academy podcast is brought to you by Castellani USA, Greenwood Custom Stocks, and Ranger Eyewear. Here's your host, Cody Matson of Matson Shooting Academy.
Hey everybody, Happy New Year. Welcome to the Matson Shooting Academy podcast. Sitting down today with none other than Will Fennell. Got to see Will back in December and just catching up with, we're going to talk about a bunch of different things today on the podcast, but we really wanted to talk about the season prep and goal setting and, equipment and just getting everything ready. So, Will, welcome to the show.
Yeah, man, it's good to be here.
Yeah. So how you been?
Podcast thing seems to be spreading, huh?
It's turns out it's really catching on. It's like the internet.
Like indoor plumbing and the internet.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I'm excited to have you on. You have been in the game a long time now, and you've gone through all the seasons, and, I think you have a lot of insight as to how people should think about laying out their shoot calendar and goal setting, and I'd love to pick your brain on that.
Yeah, I have been at this game too damn long. I tell you, I turned 60 back in September. Nothing's really made me feel old until I went to the Nationals this year. And they give you a pin, for being at the Nationals, and they engrave on there how many years you've been to the Nationals. And it was 29 years.
Holy cow.
So one more year will be 30, but I'm just like, good God almighty.
Time flies.
Time flies when you're having fun. Yeah,
exactly.
But yeah, we go through this every year. It's kind of regular as rain because our Nationals are at the same time, and then weather starts warming up about the same time. Right now, we're already behind the power curve, man. We should have been doing some of this already, but there's still plenty of it you can do based on, what your goals are, where you're planning to go with the season. So you got to take a look at what you want to achieve. If you want to maximize your output based on the input, you got to have some specific goals in mind. And common ones I hear at the school. Oh, I want to make masterclass, or I want to make the All-State team, or I want to make the All-American team, or I want to make, what used to be called Team USA, the NSCA Sporting Clays team or PTAS team. All those things are a little different. You can make the NSCA US team and not make the All-American team. You can work hard to make it to masterclass, not get enough points to make the All-American team. Sure. So figure out which one of these things, and it doesn't have to be any of those. It could be to win your club championship. It could be, to beat your dad. It could be whatever it is. You can have more than one goal. You can have a long term, a short term, a near term, and a long term. And I think everybody should.
I'm a big proponent of that. I think the big lofty goal is great, but let's be honest, you're not going to achieve that without all the other supporting goals, in place.
Absolutely. So it's time, typically somebody having this discussion, they've spent a bunch of money on gear. They've probably, taken some expensive lessons. They may be gone to one or two tournaments and they're just enamored with the sport. And you say, what's your goals? And they go, oh, I just want to be better. I don't want to embarrass myself. Well, if you have a bunch of namby-pamby kind of goals, you're going to get namby-pamby kind of results. So don't be afraid to plant the flag and say, this is long-term what I want to achieve. By God, I want to make the All-American team, or I want to win the Nationals or whatever. But then you need some intermediate and some short-term goals to help get you there.
Right.
And I'm not a big fan of the NSCA classes as goals. I mean, yeah, everybody says I want to make masterclass. Fine, you'll get there. If you're working on making the All-American team, you'll get masterclass.
Right.
So I look at NSCA letter classes as mile markers on the road. You'll get there.
Right.
And one of the reasons I downplay it a little bit is because it's so common for somebody to say, I want to make masterclass. Then they get to masterclass and they kind of founder for a year or two till they figure out a new goal. They've been so focused on just that they get there and they don't know what to do with it.
Sure. And there's a lot of people, I think this sport has a lot of room for people have all different, some are just in it for recreation. A lot of it are in it, for a career. There's a lot of different ways to be in it. And, if you ended last season in C class and, if making A class by this year would just blow you away, then that's fine, right? I mean, it's all individual, but I think you made a good point there is don't sell yourself short. If you think you can't do something, you're right. I tell people all the time, you think you can hit the target, you're right. You think you can't, you're also right. Right. So don't handcuff yourself by saying, oh, I'll never get to masterclass. I'll never, make the all-state team or, whatever it is. But let's dive into a little bit about, so once you set that.
But it's important to say your goal out loud.
Oh, yeah.
Or even better, write the damn thing down. It doesn't get real till you do those things. And when you have a goal of some sort, that's what gets you up off the couch on a misty, rainy Sunday and get you to go practice because you got a purpose.
Yes. And that laying that out, so, all right, so set the goal and then let's take it back from there. So what does that look like for somebody that's never done that before? So say I want to make, masterclass this year. I ended it in A class. Okay. Well, how do I get there? What are you recommending to that student? How many days a week are they practicing? What does that look like?
More talk about achieving the goal. What is the mechanism to achieve the goal? So if it's to make masterclass, you got to get a lot of punches.
Right.
Well, you're not going to get punches if you don't go to tournaments.
Right.
And the bigger tournaments have more punch opportunity. It'll take forever to get to, if your goal is masterclass, to get to masterclass, just shooting, Saturday firecracker 100s because there's just not that many punches available.
Right.
And you go to a big tournament and you got 3 or 4 events you're in that you can gain punches in.
Right.
And the punches are down deeper because there's more people there. So, got to take an honest assessment of, it might be my goal, but am I going to be able to go to 3 or 4 big shoots this year?
Yeah. I mean, that's a budget question. That's a time question,
That's a family question.
Family, travel.
Let's just sum it up under commitment. It's a commitment question.
Yeah.
And some people they're at a place in life where they can't do that. And I get that. So then let's reassess a goal. Let's say you want to win your club championship. You want to move up 2 classes and not all the way to master or something. I mean, just put thought in this. This is the thing that you think about driving down the road, in January, 1st January. You need to be setting some goals. December, you need to be setting some goals. I started working on my goals right after nationals because wasn't happy with how I did, got goals.
Right.
And again, short term, middle term, long term. So short term, maybe if this is competitive performance related goals, maybe you say, all right, my first shoot of next year, well, this year now, I want to be in the top. Like me, I'm in a concurrent, I'm a veteran, I'm an old guy. I want to be in the top at, my first shoot of the year or my first 3 shoots of the year, Jack Links, Seminole, and Gator Cup. I want to be veteran 1 or 2. So it's an example of a goal.
And once you have that,
it just can't be, I want to go and shoot good.
It's too nondescript, right? I mean, everybody wants to go shoot good. So by stating that specific statement, okay, what, you specifically, what do you feel it's going to take for you to achieve that goal? Like what kind of training are you going to do? I mean, you're at a very proficient point in your shooting career. So are you just shooting some maintenance a couple weeks ahead of that tournament? Are you really going to go cram? What does that look like for you?
Well, this is how I manage practice time and practice goals, okay? I have a sheet of paper in a notebook, and I keep a running list of things that I feel like are failings, things I'm not doing well. Let's say I'm not shooting 90 millimeters well. I look back at the World Fit Test last year. I shot a 180, pretty good score in veterans. Of the 20 targets I missed, 12 of them were 90 mils.
Wow.
So what's Will doing? Will's shooting a buttload of 90 millimeters.
Yeah.
So I keep a list of things that I feel like are failings. And every time I can get a chance to go practice, I try to knock 1 or 2 things off the list. And then every time I go to a tournament, I come up with some new failings and I put them on there.
Right.
And if it's something that's reoccurring, I'll do a little write-up about what I did to fix it so that next time I have trouble with 90s, I know what to go back and practice to get it right.
So you're recording that throughout the year while it's fresh in your mind, and you're looking at what would have put the most on your scorecard. And that's interesting. In a lot of my sessions when I meet a new student, I have this form where, I've wrote down every single presentation that I can think, and, we'll go out and we'll shoot on the course, and I'll kind of jot down for them, what presentations they're missing. And at the end of it, I show it to them, and, they can't believe they just missed 8 left to right shallow quartering birds, and that's identifying an area of that. So I like that you do that. I think that keeps it fresh in your mind. And
it's just a work list.
Right.
And it also means that if I go practice and I don't work on one or two of those things, kind of had a, namby-pamby kind of, let's just go around the course with the boys practice session, which doesn't really achieve a whole lot.
Yeah. And to call that practice, right, that it's kind of social shooting. You got to go out there with an intention and, just work on that thing.
And it doesn't have to be a presentation. People get kind of wrapped around the axle by that. I certainly one you can work on, but it could be, I'm not really automatically doing my pre-shot routine. So I'm going to go to maybe even a really soft course and do my pre-shot routine every stinking time.
Right.
And call myself out if I catch myself short checking it, and just kind of, I kind of did it. No, you really didn't.
Yeah, you can go through the motions.
And that's a good thing for our stair drill we run. That's a great, great tool for that. But so whatever your failings are, mental, physical, presentation related, whatever, try to fix at least one every time you go to the range. And for long, you won't have very many things on your list. Then you'll go to a big shoot and you'll have some things put back on your list.
Well, and
that's a work in progress, constantly working that list. And then the other kind of practice is tournament practice. I think, that could actually be on your list too, but it's a different kind of practice. That's where, you feel like you've checked all your boxes, things are rolling good. So I'm going to practice shooting in tournament, and I'm going to get a scorecard, and I'm going to hold myself accountable. And the big one is when you run into that station that just kicks your butt, you got to walk off. You can't just stay there till you get it fixed, because that's how most people practice, right? They get to the tower station, they hit a 2 out of 8, and they get mad and they stay there till they fix it, and they walk off with their head high. Well, you don't get to do that in the U.S. Open.
Right. No do-overs.
You got to learn how to have a bad station and walk off and suck it up, buttercup, and get your crap together before the next station. Because what's really going to kill you is letting the bad performance on one station spill over to 2 or 3 stations.
Oh, yeah.
So you're practicing playing the games. You shoot the whole course, total up the score, and that's you for the day, baby. Now, we got golf carts or buggies and stuff these days. Once you've done the whole course, you can go back and work on the stuff you had problems on. But, you need a heavy dose. You probably need more tournament practice than you need skills practice.
Right.
Okay. That's kind of where I'm at too. But there's still a few skill things I need to work on. So I usually go to the range with 1 or 2 of those things in mind. I'm either going to shoot skills practice today or I'm going to shoot tournament practice today.
Right. And that helps differentiate, the day's purpose on that. But like you said,
and a lot of times it's based on time. If I don't have a lot of time, I'll just pick one skill and go work on it.
Yeah.
But if I got the afternoon, I might shoot around a tournament.
And you can take that, in volume, you can get a really quality practice in, and it doesn't have to be high volume, right? I mean,
absolutely
it's a couple boxes here and there, and that's what I have a lot of time, shoot a couple boxes in between lessons or whatever, and that's
end of the day or something.
Really helpful on that. But you hit on something there that you got to go to the bigger tournaments, because there will be things or issues that arise that you didn't know you had.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Right. So, wow, didn't realize I had an issue with that. And, that's how
it's like 2-dimensional chess all of a sudden. You've not only got all your shooting issues, you got to figure out how to perform on the road.
Mm-hmm. Totally different thing.
Sleeping, eating, dealing with travel. Because if your goal is to do well, big shoots or make a team or whatever, you're going to have to shoot on the road. Shooting on the road, I mean, I know guys that are fantastic shots who haven't figured out how to deal with life on the road yet.
And
So-
what are some helpful hints on that? Like, I know you're planning all your travel and everything, and so am I, now for the season. And I mean, I find putting it on a calendar for me helps me navigate all that. I mean, what are you doing as far as prep and?
Oh yeah. All my tournaments are all set for the year. So that I can plan the teaching around them.
Right.
So I don't book a bunch of lessons right in the middle of Gator Cup. But yeah, I'm planning all that, planning travel based around that, making travel, maybe say to Texas to teach before nationals and, things like that. And even if you're not an instructor like you and I mean, you might be able to plan work related stuff around some travel, or at least be sure you don't have a bunch of work related stuff right before you travel to a big shoot.
Right.
So getting that organized can save you a lot of problems.
Sure. And having those boxes checked, that home's good and finances are good and work's good. I mean, all that stuff, to me, to be able to go perform and shoot your best, I mean, you can't have that weighing on you, your cell phone buzzing in your pocket from work calling you, it just doesn't work.
Yep, absolutely. And, and that's why this whole lofty goal of, performing well at big tournaments and travel and all that stuff, it might just not be for everybody. If you've got 4 kids and, a wife who works, and maybe your work situation involves, you're kind of on call 24/7, that some boss is going to call you and want to know why the hell you were not in the middle of some problem going on at work. It just might be really hard for you to do that. And I totally get it.
And it doesn't mean that you can't shoot. There's so many local shoots available, depending on the area you live in. But I know Southeast, I mean, if you want to shoot something every weekend and one on Saturday and one on Sunday, you can definitely
still sleep in your own bed, you could do that.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody kind of looks to, the big dogs who are at every major shoot around the country, and it seems like it's so glamorous. Let me tell you something. All that travel ain't so glamorous. And it just doesn't suit everybody's lifestyle.
Right.
No doubt about it. Absolutely no doubt about it. So pick and choose. Figure out the amount of effort and dedication you can provide, and, don't lose your marriage over it.
Yeah. Not worth it.
Don't lose your job.
Right.
Just, because there are very, very few people, you count on one hand, people that are actually making a living pulling trigger.
Yeah. That's not.
And then there's another 2 hands of people that are making a living pulling trigger and teaching.
Yeah, that is true. So, all right. So you're a person, limited time, resource, whatever. There are some pretty cool shoots throughout the year. I always look forward to Seminole Cup. That's just a big kickoff. Last year hit Jack Links. This year going to do the Blackjack Open. Gallatin, Montana, all that stuff. But I mean, how you got all the regionals, the U.S. Opens. I mean, what are some of the shoots that you would say, look at these few, if you have only time to attend a couple travel shoots?
I think Seminole Cup is a no-brainer for the early season shoot. Seminole or Gator. A lot of people like Seminole because it's a good one to take your wife to, because the resort and the spas and all the cool stuff down there. And they just do a fantastic job at their tournament. Same thing at Gator Cup. Gator Cup's another really good one. Later this year, the U.S. Open will be pretty early in the year. I think the U.S. Open is going to be pretty spectacular. That club is absolutely stunning. Wiverson doing all of the right things to make that a great shoot. Bringing in Jamie Peckham to be the head target setter. He just did like $1.3 million worth of rock for the parking lot.
Holy cow!
I mean, he's gonna do this thing right. I think that's gonna be a great shoot. That's in May, I believe. And then, I'm a feed test nut, and big thing for me always is the World Cup. So we have 3 World Cup events here in the U.S. I'll do all 3 of them. One's at M&M. That'll be really good. It's combined with the New Jersey State Sporting Clay Championship. That's a bonus, and we'll do a great job at that. Dan Bailey is doing one at Eagle's Nest. I'm going to do that one. Dan will do a great job. God, it escapes me right. Oh, the third one, I think is it. Pretty sure the third one is back at Providence Hill at Wiverson's place. I'll be there for that.
Nice.
So those are, and then I'll do, I think 3 regionals this year, and then the nationals. Plus, middle of summer, I'll go shoot World Sporting and the World Fit Test, which are back-to-back weekends in Europe.
That's great.
So that my dance card's pretty full. There's like at least one major almost every month. It's pretty aggressive, but I do enjoy it. I do love it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And it, going from one to the next, how, with them stacked in that you come off of one shoot, you're going over your goals, you're looking at your shortcomings, you're looking at what you did a good job of. Is that a constant evolution for you going into the next one? And
yeah. Constant. I mean, shame on me if I go to a major shoot and there's a whole bunch of stuff on that list of failings. I'll have that ironed out, or at least I'll feel like I have it ironed out.
Because if
I'll
you
do
don't,
my Dell level best.
Your confidence,
is in the tank.
It's just going to be terrible on that, right?
Like, yeah, I'm just here to give these people some money and look at the pretty trees.
Exactly. I don't know. Feeling prepared, I think people undervalue that, right? You really have to have your confidence bucket full, before you go do something like that.
Yeah, you got to get out of the truck feeling like there is nobody here more prepared than I am. If you get that feeling, you're going to do it.
Yeah. Yep. That's right. Yep. Got to put
in
the
work. If you get out of the truck going, oh man, it's going to rain and I didn't bring my boots, and God, I really just hadn't had a chance to shoot for the last 3 weeks, and still missing those 90s and, whatever it is. And I didn't get my favorite shells, and I still waiting on my new glasses. And, if you get out like that, don't play the options. Okay.
You're in for a long weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. It is.
So speaking of that, how about equipment?
Yeah. So that is something that glasses and equipment and everything. I have been sending people to Colo left and right here with getting glasses and updated prescriptions and, that kind of stuff. I mean, this is the perfect time to get your gun serviced and, all those things. So what do you do with your gear and everything in this time of year?
So I have an annual eye exam every year about Thanksgiving. Because if my prescription has changed a little bit, that gives me enough time to comfortably get another set of lenses from Doc. Okay. So that's just the time of year I pick because I'm always home around Thanksgiving because Greenwood comes here. So I just run in town and get an eye exam. Last 3 years, 2 years, it's changed. This year it did.
Yeah.
But I checked that box, by God, and if it's a little bit of change, just get some new lenses. I mean, it's just cost doing business. It's that important. Every time there's been enough of a change to get new glasses, while I'm waiting on them, I'm like, I still kind of see. I think I'm okay. New glasses come in, you put them on and go, oh yeah, that shit's better.
Yeah, a lot better.
But a whole lot better.
0.25% in our game, I mean, 0.5%. I mean, that's huge.
Oh yeah, I get so mad. I get mad. Right around the axles, people go, how's your eyes? They go, I see pretty good, pretty good. How about in low light? Well, I kind of have trouble there. And I go, well, you can fix this problem with a credit card. Okay, let's get some. How's your prescription? 6 years old. Yeah. Well, you'll think, well, yeah, I guess it has changed because the doctor gave me new driving glasses. Well, why don't you think you need that for shooting? If I want all I can get, how much vision I want? All of it.
Yeah.
I want to be the guy that can see the target coming out from the dark background when everybody else.
Right. Yeah.
So
turns out trees have leaves.
yeah. Pine trees or cedar trees not just this green blob. It's got little needles on it.
Right.
So, I get all over people who just put that off, but yet they want to buy a new gun. They're buying a new set of choke tubes. They're
different shell.
different shell, whatever it is, your glasses are more important than all of that.
Yeah.
If you need prescription. And I'll just tell you, for those listening that have got a little bit of more salt in their hair than pepper, after you're over 50, chances are I could go to Vegas on the fact that you probably need glasses to see optimally at distance.
Right. Yeah. And we've talked about this before, but most eye doctors are trying just to make you safe to drive. You need to express the fact that, hey, look, I'm playing a game where I need to see detail at 40, 50 yards. And
I tell people, I've heard Doc tell people, take a clay target with you and say, I don't need to just see this. I need to see the contrast and the shadows and the edges on this at 40 yards at 40 miles an hour. And a good doctor will go, oh, you want that kind of exam. That's different than pass the driving test and watch Sports Center on your big screen, which is all most people are worried about.
That's right.
If a doctor has ever said to you, you're okay, but you might need some glasses for driving at night, that means you need glasses to shoot in.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes.
So anyway, get that squared away. If you don't need prescription, if you need some new lenses because your old ones got scratched, whatever, now's time to get that squared away. But it takes a while sometimes to get in and get your appointment, and then it takes a little while to get Colos people to make the glasses. So
worth the wait, though. Worth the wait, totally.
Absolutely. On the gun, now it's just a good time of year to get your gun service. And I tell you, there are people that say, oh, I've shot my XYZ brand and it's never failed me and I've never had it serviced. Well, guess what? It's going to go down in the middle of the Nationals or the U.S. Open. It won't break, this time of year. So just these are high performance pieces of gear and they contain an explosion every time you pull the trigger. Just get it serviced. I mean, Kickoff is great about their annual service program and they kind of educate their customers on preventive maintenance. You can do the same thing to your Beretta or your Browning or your Perazzi.
Right.
They just don't have kind of a program for it, but you can still go to your gunsmith and say, hey man, could you take my old Browning 325, take it apart, put fresh springs in, clean all the inside out where I can't get to it? Because in an over and under, there's parts in there that even the average guy with a gunsmithing screwdriver kit can't get to.
Right. Nor should he.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what gunsmiths are for. Pay them their money.
That's right.
Get that thing serviced, get it cleaned, get it up ready to go for next season.
Yeah.
If you're thinking about a change, now's the time, not April.
Right.
In the middle of tournament season.
Yeah, because when you make a change, I mean, I think you need months for that to really groove and build that confidence in a gun if you're going to change with it. I mean, very seldom can you just pick something up and say, yeah, I believe in this wholeheartedly.
Yeah, nothing wrong with change, don't get me wrong. But if you're going to do it, you should be working on it now, not in the heat of the season.
Right. Yeah, and change for the sake of change isn't always good, right? Get to know something and groove with it. Just because you can buy a new gun doesn't mean you should always if you got something that's working for you. But there's a lot of people that just switch guns so frequently, bring multiple guns to a lesson. Well, I want to shoot this one half the lesson and shoot this the other half. Man, pick one, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I shoot a K80 Parkour, a specific one with a specific stock. I got a whole bunch of other shotguns.
Right.
And I may shoot a target with it every now and then or take it hunting every now and then. But if I absolutely have to hit something, pick up the K80 Parkour because that's what I shoot.
Right.
99% of the rounds I fire a year through that one gun. And it's the same gun. I mean, I've changed receivers, but it's the same stock and barrels and everything that I've shot for like 8 years. And I know people that are changing, even if it's the same gun, they're monkeying with the stock, they're changing the barrels, they're blah, 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 blah. Nothing like keeping, your onboard computer between your ears. Let's just try hard to keep that confused.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And reducing chatter. Yeah. I call that stuff chatter is, should it be this? Should it be this choke? Should it be that? When I got my K80 Parkour, you told me, hey, I highly recommend, fixed choke. And I can't tell you how helpful that has been in reducing chatter. It's just, that's what I have and it's plenty to break them. So go with it. right?
Yeah.
So kind of narrowing down variables and stuff. This is also a good time of year to do that. If you're torn between chokes or this or that, go out and spend some time on the pattern board and really get to see those patterns. And just by the time you hit the season, have that stuff ironed out. Don't be figuring that out in the middle of the season.
Absolutely. It's a good gun with screw chokes can be a good thing. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But changing choke constantly during the round, you're misplacing your mental energy. You're worried about the wrong stuff.
Yep.
Just put a pair of moderately tight chokes in, and if then something stupid close and erratic, put a pair of skeets or cylinders in.
Yeah.
And just call it good. But constantly changing chokes, station after station after station after station, it's just misplaced energy. You're just spending more time worrying about the wrong thing.
Yeah. That's and you can do that on a lot of different things, right? There's a lot of
glasses. I mean, you see these guys
the
with
lenses,
boxes of lenses, and they're like holding them up constantly. Which light's better? Which one's better? Colo's kind of taught us you need like two.
Yeah. Right.
Clear and a color and call it good, because you can see people wasting that mental energy screwing around with that too.
Oh yeah. And by the time they get the lenses snapped back in the frames, they're the on-deck shooter. They haven't made a plan, and then they wing it and shoot a two. It's
yep. Yeah, absolutely.
But you're feeling good about your lenses.
Yeah. Well, you're justifying all that money you spent.
Yeah.
Another thing's ammo. I mean, if you're taking this game serious, you're probably going to find a particular load that you have confidence in. Now, look, there are a lot of great shotgun shells. I mean, a lot. There are more good ones than bad ones. Anything will work out to 30 yards. But if you can, ideally, you just shoot the same shell all the time. If you can't afford that because your confidence load costs, $110 a flat right now, but you need a lot of practice, so you need some $80 flat ammo to practice in. Just try to keep it, around close to the same numbers. Close to the same shot size, close to the same speed, close to the same payload. In Fiocchi speak, that means like I shoot little rhinos. It's premium shell, ounce 1250. I shoot 7.5s. So if I was going to buy some cheaper practice ammo, I'd shoot Fiocchi's Shooting Dynamics, 1 ounce, 1250, 7.5s. It's going to feel pretty close to the same in recoil, pretty close to the same time of same. But really my point is that once you figure out a load that you got a lot of confidence in, try to stack some of it up in the garage so that you're going to the Saturday Firecracker 100 and it's Friday night and you go in tomorrow morning and you're like, oh, damn, I don't have any of my favorite shells. Let me go drive all around town and see if Walmart's got them. It's a good preparation thing, and it's a good box to have checked. Buy 10 flats or something and just set them aside for your tournaments. Put them over there in the garage. Don't shoot them up in practice all the time. Shoot what you can afford or what you can get or something like that up in practice. But try to have some dedicated tournament shells.
Right. Yeah. And practice ammo, you and I have shot spackle buckets full of all kinds of different color stuff. It's just whatever you have. But you're right. If you have the opportunity to keep that practice shell similar in numbers, that's a great tip on that.
I had a guy the other day that was practicing with some relatively heavy, cheap shells, 1.8 ounce at 1275 or 1280 or whatever it was. And then he went to a tournament and he decided to try, the shells that Will's been shooting. So he shoots some 1 ounce 1250s and his confidence dropped because they didn't kick enough. And he thought his misses were because the shell wasn't powerful enough. And I was like, no, it's not. That shell will break whatever you want to shoot. Problem is you don't have confidence in it because you've been shooting something else.
Right.
I've seen that go the other way too. So, practicing with 1 ounce 1200s or 1 ounce 1150s, and they go to tournament, they got to have more power. They buy some 1 ounce 8 1300s. And, halfway through the round, they feel like they've been in the ring with Tyson and their, the head hurts and they're, now their focus is on why is this gun hurting me instead of how do I break the targets?
Yeah. And that is a legit, recoil aversion, whether you think that's bothering you or not. I mean, if you tense or wince, to brace for that impact, you don't need to shoot, if you're 125 pounds shooting ounce and an eighth, 1350s, you're getting rocked with that stuff. And the benefit that you think you're gaining from that, it's not worth the punishment. I mean,
Not
we've
at all.
seen, what's that load Lori shoots? The
B&P 1 ounce 1160.
And that will absolutely destroy a target.
Absolutely.
I mean,
I'm always amazed. It's just, it doesn't even sound like a 12 gauge.
yeah.
So,
Yep.
and it just, pattern's great. Your onboard computer gets used to whatever the speed is. I mean, I tell people, if we want to go off in the shells for a second, but I tell people if they could just try to stick within about 50 foot a second of the same shell, if I'm shooting 1250s and I get somewhere and all I can find is 1300 foot a second shells, I'm not going to notice the difference. Sure, you don't want to be used to 1300s and all you can find is 1150s.
Yeah.
You'll feel a little time of flight difference.
Yeah.
So just try to stick within 50 foot a second of the same speed all the time. You'll be fine.
Yeah, because if you're flying to travel to a shoot or something, maybe they don't have your favorite shell, but you're going to have to pick something of similar specs and go with that.
That's one of the preparation things I do is I know the shell that I like, and I purposely shoot 2 or 3 major brands within 50 foot a second of that same speed, so that when I fly to, XYZ club and they're not a Fiocchi dealer, they're really pushing Game Bore or Winchester, I know which one of those shells to go by to feel at home.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's important, right? Not to be first time you've ever plunked one in your gun is on the first station.
One of the things I always chuckle when you get somebody that's going overseas for the first time and they are absolutely wigging out over the ammo. I'm like, dude, there's great ammo everywhere I've been in the world, everywhere. So just on your practice day, the day before or 2 days before, buy a box of this, box of this, box of this, box of that, shoot them, decide which one you like, and go buy a couple cases. It's just no big deal.
Yeah, just get them, get that all, it all ties back to just getting that in the planning and in the prep. So once you make your goals, going back to the setting of them and as you're working on them, I get asked a lot, and I'm sure you do as well, like, how often should you mix in your lessons? How often should you see your coach? How often should you, have between sessions? And I mean, that's so hard to say, this is the right recipe, but, give people some advice on, how often you like to see your students, between tournaments. And I mean, you and I talk a lot, just over the phone. How did that tournament go and this and that? And that's a good exchange to have with your coach. But what would you say regarding that?
First off, regarding that, I am not a believer in the student fitting into my box. Okay. Every student's different. Your goals are different. How far away from me you live is different. How much money you can afford to spend is different. And so on and so on. So I'm a little wary when a coach says, okay, this is my box. This is you. I need to see you every other week for the next year, and you got to prepay me up front.
Right.
Now, if you want to offer a discount, if somebody does that, that's all different and everything. But I work out with my students what they're trying to achieve and what they can commit to time-wise to come see me. I got guys that I coach that live places like Idaho or Minnesota, and I only see them maybe twice a year. Now, they get a lot of access. They get a lot of phone calls. I answer a lot of texts. I mean, I do a lot of things to help make up for that. But then I have people that come see me, once a month. I don't think you need really any more than that, and that's only if it's pretty convenient to get here. It's a lot of that depends on the coach. If you're the kind of coach that's not going to take a phone call or spend 10 minutes texting back and forth or talking on the phone on a random Tuesday night because, the student just had a crappy tournament weekend and he needs somebody to talk about the ledge and give them some insight into maybe why their performance wasn't so good and what they could do about it, they're going to have to come see you more often if you're not willing to spend that kind of time with somebody.
Right.
I get that. I personally, I work under the whole, give me a call if you got a problem. We'll see what we can do to figure it out. So probably shortchanging me, and maybe I'd be making more money if I made people come see me more often, but I tell people that when they got enough questions rattling around in their head they need fixed, they'll want to come see me.
Right. Yeah.
So for people within easy driving distance of me, every once a quarter, once a month, depending on your level of interest in your budget.
Yeah. And once you deliver that new information to them, they need to fully absorb that and put it into practice, and I tell them, look, you'll know when that is. You'll know when this stuff is solidified and now you've incorporated in your game and, go shoot that.
Every now and then I'll get somebody usually out of Charlotte or somewhere close. They just want to come every week shoot. I go, guys, I'd really rather you go shoot 1,000 rounds, 2,000 rounds, implementing what we worked on last week before you come back and see me. I can be your practice buddy where you just go to Will's place to practice, but it's not really what I'm set up for. And it's not doing you justice to just do nothing but come take lessons.
Yeah.
And every now and then you get somebody that's what they want to do. But I guess part of what I'm saying is I don't have a framework everybody has to fit in.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a lot to do with what their goals are and what they're trying to achieve and where they're at in the game and that kind of thing.
Right. And now's a good time to, when we talked about setting this up, we both agreed there is no off season, right? There is no downtime, right? I mean, it's just
my off season is the drive from San Antonio back to South Carolina,
right
after the Nationals, and then it's back to work again. I mean, it's just like I've been able to get one traveling hunting trip in since Nationals, and that's it. And that was a 1-day hunt in Kansas last week.
Yeah.
So no, it's back to work.
Uh-huh.
And if you've got lofty goals, it's back to work for you too.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the Florida stuff's in full swing, and I mean, it's going.
I used to find it helpful. Now everything's on your phone, but still it can be helpful to go to the Staples or wherever and buy one of those laminated year at a glance calendars.
Uh-huh.
And put that puppy up on the wall in your home office and get some grease pens, different color, and mark on there the tournaments you are going to go to and any other life event, so-and-so's birthday or Mother's Day or whatever, so that you can kind of step back and look at the whole year and go, holy crap, I'm really heavy at the beginning and then there's nothing for 2 months in the summer. Maybe I drop off one of those ones at the beginning of the year and add something in the middle of the year.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's the perspective of looking at the whole year at a glance that can kind of help you with that sometimes.
Yeah, and that's a great thing. And I do the exact same thing. Being able to see that out, really helps me fill in time between it, because you're right. It really, if you just have a calendar on your phone, you can't see that whole perspective. And yeah, I like that. That is definitely something that I recommend everybody should do. So
and it should give some perspective to all the other events in your life too.
Exactly. Yeah. Because let's face it, there's a lot going on for everybody.
Yeah.
Kids, sports, and you name it. So what is your first kickoff of the 25 season? What are you doing?
It was going to be the shoot in Fajara. I still really wish I was going, but just have a couple other things going on right then that I can't work around.
Yeah.
So I pulled out of that. So my first shoot of the year will be Jack Links.
Okay.
Jack Links, then Seminole, then Gator Cup, and then I think the Open.
Yeah.
Maybe I do something in Texas. I can't remember.
Yeah, it'll be on us before we know it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then the big thing this summer is the World Sporting and the World FITAS back-to-back weekends. World Sporting at E.J. Churchill's right outside of London. Probably about the best place over there to host a big tournament. It's always special. It's always great. And then the very next weekend is the World FITAS in Cyprus, which they've had it there before. I went to it. I was back about 2007 or 8. Great shoot. Expect this one to be a great shoot also.
Oh, yeah. And they will. Well, I appreciate your guidance on, the goal setting of everything, and, jot them down, right? Put them down,
Absolutely.
Say them out loud, make them real. It's not just, I'd like to, or that would be great. No, you got to mean and have intention in those goals.
Yeah. Otherwise, they're just kind of running your mouth.
Yeah. Wishing.
And we know how much that helps you on the range.
Yeah. Almost zero.
I think it's important also, if you have a coach or somebody you're seeing regularly for help, talk through it with them.
I think so too. I mean, that I do that. I've done that recently here for several people. I do a lot of youth coaching, and mom and dad are, hey, what tournaments should we go to and this and that. And, I've sat down with them and helped line that out. And now's the perfect time. I mean, you got to register so early for this stuff. Otherwise, you're not getting in the main.
And the days of Score Chaser, I mean, you have to sign up right away.
Yeah.
Or it fills up.
It really does.
I know the Jack Links just opened, they passed their date that you had to pull out if you wanted to refund. And the next day there were lots of spots in the main open. So our buddy Cade wasn't going to go because he couldn't get in the main. All of a sudden he got in the main.
There you go.
So,
yeah,
you can work the program if you early enough, you get on waiting lists, you'll probably get in, but you just have to sign up early. And if you have to pull out, you pull out.
Yeah.
But take a stab at it. Cause if you don't, like I said, you're going to be shooting at 8 o'clock every morning and, you're not going to get in the main or fitness, which is kind of the reason I go.
But you got to have that carrot on the string. That you got to, those rainy mornings that you don't want to go practice or cold or whatever, that's the carrot on the string, right? That's
absolutely.
Have this shoot coming up. I have to go practice.
Yeah. Or as simple as I'm going to the range today. I have to go practice with a purpose, not just yuck it up around the course with my buddies. I'm investing this time, ammo, targets, and time. I better get something out of this if I'm going to reach my goals.
Yeah. You owe it to yourself for that, for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, I think that is a good look at what you ought to be doing, planning the season out. And, I really am excited about this coming year. A lot of changes coming up, and it's going to be fun. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, man. You're shooting good. You need to keep it up. You're doing well.
I'm working on it. I appreciate it. So same to you.
Buddy. All right, buddy.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the videos, and we want to continue to provide good information for everybody out there, and go check out the Clay Lab.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us. Remember to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast platform to the Clay Lab so you don't miss an episode. Check out MatsonShootingAcademy.com or reach out to Cody at MatsonShootingAcademy@gmail.com. Consider joining as a channel member too by clicking that join button below on YouTube for early access to videos and podcasts. We'll catch you here next time on the Matson Shooting Academy podcast.